Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm got a brand new game coming to Kickstarter called Feralis Obscure Land. This is a brand new one from Deer Game Studios. It is a 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2 game that takes roughly 30 to 60 minutes to play, and is a competitive head-to-head game where you are battling it out with your opponent to try to deplete their health, and the first player to do this will be the winner of the game. So in the game itself, you are going to be playing one of the Aesyr, which are deities of this world, and they control vast armies that have constantly battling with each other. We're not sure why that is, whether it's for power, domination, or simply boredom. But in any case, you are playing as one of them, and you will construct your own deck of 20 creatures. You will also pick your own divine skills from a selection of different ones you'll have options of based on the Aesyr that you're playing. And then you're going to go head to head with your opponents, trying to deplete their 20 hit points. And the first player that is able to do this will be the winner of the game. So in this video, I'm going to take you through some of the main features of the game and also show you a sample turn to give you a good idea how this one plays so you know whether this is a good one for you to back or not. Now, I do want to point out that all the materials you see here are prototype materials and are subject to change. It'll go a lot better in the final production copy of it. If you find this video helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow and be able to produce this content. It also really helps with the YouTube algorithm to have all those different things and figuring out all that good stuff. So if you wanted to, please hit those buttons for me. I really appreciate it. So let's go ahead and head to the table and we'll see what this one's all about. First, let's start by looking at the different factions that are going to be included with this. So there'll be 4 main factions included in the core set, which are the Vulcan, the Skrill, the Morales, and the Gilmora. Each one of these factions will come with 20 creatures and an Aesyr for that faction. Now, I do want to point out that the tuck boxes are a stretch goal currently for this game, so just keep that in mind as you're watching that this isn't necessarily included in the core set, but one of the stretch goals for the game itself. Next, let's look at the Aesyr that players can play as. So each faction will have its own. So here we have 3 different ones from some of the different factions that are included in the game. Each one of these Aesyrs is going to have a name at the top of the card, along with a catalyst section. So this is going to list all the different catalyst tokens that Aesyr is going to receive at the beginning of the game. So for example, with this one here, we would receive 1 4. We'd have 3 3s. And 1 2, and these are limited. You won't be able to get these back throughout the game unless an ability or special card allows you to do so, and you'll be able to spend these to speed up the countdown timers on some of your cards, whether it is your divine skills or monsters, so you can potentially get them out quicker. From there, then each one of the Aesyrs is also going to have a divine skills section. This is going to list the different divine skills that it has access to, and these are going to be constructed before your game starts. You'll get to choose different divine skills from these different categories, and it'll also list how many of those you can have. So with our character here, again, she can receive 1 from the enhancement section, and then up to 3 from the wrath divine skill section. The total of the timer on those cards can be 12, so she can have up to 12 points on those, and I'll show you more about that in a little bit. And then each one of our Aesyrs is also going to have a special ability, whether it's a one-shot or a passive ability that will always be active throughout the game. Now that you've seen how your Aesyr works, let's look at the creatures you can command. So each faction is going to have a collection of creatures that you'll be able to choose from, and they are going to be broken down into 4 classes, which are going to be denoted by this little symbol in the middle of each one of the cards. So there'll be common, uncommon, rare, and legendary creatures. Each one of these creatures is going to be double-sided with a call and an awakened side. The awakened side will have the little guy with the squiggles up top, and the call side will have the regular symbol. So each one of these is going to list the name of that particular creature in the middle of the card, along with the number of turns that creature must be in your incubator, which will be denoted on a die, so you'll set that when you place that creature in there. And then each creature will have a number of hit points and its type of condition that it is. There will be physical creatures, and then on the awakened side, you'll have corrupt creatures and spiritual creatures. And these are going to be affecting the different attack types and things like that. From there, then some of the creatures are going to have abilities that'll be triggered, whether it's when they are deployed or will have other effects you'll resolve. Each creature will also have a speed and an attack with an attack type, whether it is just a regular attack or one of the other types of attacks that will attack those particular creatures more effectively. Then when a creature is on its awakened side, again, you'll have the awakened side with the counter, which you'll set when it is in your incubator. And then again, the number of hit points you have and the type of attacks or type of form that you're going to take at that point. And again, that's going to denote the types of attacks. So if a regular creature attacks a corrupted creature, it's not going to do as much damage unless it has the ability to attack that type of creature more effectively. And the final type of card we're going to look at are the divine skills, and there's going to be a whole collection of categories that these are going to fall in, as you can see here. So we have the divination, the banishing, greed, metamorphosis, enhancement, healing, necromancy, and wrath. And each one of your Aesyrs is going to have a certain number of categories that it has access to. Within each one of those categories, there's going to be a collection of cards you're going to get to choose from. Each one of these will have a name at the top, along with the number of turns it'll take to be able to use that card, which again, you'll have your counters for those. And once those tick down to 0, you can use those cards at that point going forward. Again, with these cards, you do not have to trigger them when they tick down all the way. You can save them and use them when you need to, but once you've used it, then it'll reset its counter and you'll have to wait for that to have access again. Or again, you can use your catalyst to speed that process up. Then each card is going to have an ability that will be triggered when you use the card, and at the bottom of the card is again going to be the category it is part of. Along with on the back of the card, it'll list the category it is with as well. And these are going to have all kinds of different effects depending upon the category it's in. Each category has specifics or certain types of abilities that it really focuses in on. All right, the last thing I want to do is show you a sample turn to give you a good idea how this one plays so you know whether or not this is one that is going to be a good fit for you. So during each player's turn, it's broken down into 4 phases: the loading phase, main phase, attack phase, and draw phase that each player is going to do in order. And throughout the game, players are going to take turns back and forth until one of the players has no health left. At that point, the opponent will be the winner of the game, and then you can set up for another one if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this player over here, and I did play through one turn already just so you can kind of see how a little bit more of this works. So first off, we're going to enter into the loading phase. During the loading phase, each one of your counters is going to tick down 1 point on each one of your divine skills and any of the creatures you have in your incubation area. So first off, with my divine skills, each one of these is going to move down. So 4, and this one will be 3. And 4. Then I do have a creature that I'm incubating right now, so that'll go down to a 1. And from there, then I'll move into the main phase. During the main phase, this is where you're going to be doing a lot of your different things. So if I had any creatures or any skills at this point that were 0, I could choose to use those. So with the creatures, they would be deployed, and I would have to choose which side I want to deploy them in, as each creature is double-sided, as you already saw. So you have to choose which side you want to place them, and then you'll activate them using any skills that they have or whatnot, depending upon what they have. Otherwise, some of those might be triggered during the attack phase. From there, then you can, if you have unlocked any of your divine skills, you can use them at this point or hold on to them. You are not required to use any skills that you have. You can simply hold on to them until you need them as well, which is really cool. From there, then the last thing you can do during your turn, this part of your turn, is choose another creature that you want to deploy if you have any open slots in your incubator. So let's go ahead and say that I want this one as well. So I'm going to go ahead and load that one into my slot there, and this one also has a timer of 2 turns. From there, then you're going to move into the attack phase. During the attack phase, if you have any creatures out, then you can choose to use them to attack. Each creature that you would use to attack with, you can either target one of your opponent's creatures, or you can target your opponent directly doing damage to their health. Now, there is one key thing with this, is that each player is going to have their 3 defense tokens. When a player places a monster down, and the only time they can do this is when they place a monster onto the field, they can choose to make that monster a defender. At that point, they cannot be attacked as a player, or their other monsters cannot be attacked until that defender has been eliminated. Now, this is a finite thing, as you only have 3 defender tokens. So once a creature has been eliminated that has one of those, then you will discard that token, and you only can have 3 creatures throughout the game, so you have to choose when and which creatures would be best for that. From there, once you've resolved all of your attacks, then it is going to move into your draw phase. During this phase, if you have less than 4 cards in your hand, you'll draw a new card from your deck, and that will be the end of your turn. From that point, it'll pass to your opponent to take their turn, and they'll do the same thing. And this is going to continue, like I said, going back and forth until one of the players has been eliminated from their health. All right, so from here, let's go ahead and take you through a couple more of these things. So for this example, let's go ahead and say that I have eliminated this one here, so I can use brute force. And let's go ahead and say that I have placed out one of my monsters so that we can kind of see a little bit more how this works. So these will just be placed off to the side for now. And then let's go ahead and bring out an opponent's monster as well so we can kind of see how some of this is going to work. All right, so let's go ahead and say that my opponent had this guy out here. He's just a weak little one, but we'll kind of see how this works. All right, so let's go ahead and say that I attack, and I want to attack him. I want him out of the way. I don't want him to kind of build up all of his creatures on me, so I'm going to go ahead and attack him. So at this point, I'm going to compare the speeds of the two creatures. So my creature has a speed of 2, and his creature has a speed of 2. So we would attack simultaneously, doing damage to each other. From there, there's going to be the 3 different types of creatures, as we already covered. So both of these are physical creatures, so they're going to do damage based on that. So this guy's going to do 2 damage to me, and I have 4 hit points. So then I'm going to just simply mark down that I took 2 damage, and then my guy is going to retaliate with 2 damage as well, and that will be enough to eliminate him as he only has 1 hit point. So then this guy is going to go back to his opponent's incubation area, and he will be on his awakened side from this point on. So then we would slot that in there. But let's go ahead and say instead of that happening, let's go ahead and say that I wanted to use this brute force divine thing. So I'm going to divine skill. So I'm going to go ahead and cast this first before I do my attack. And this gets a creature +1 health, +1 attack, and +1 speed. So now when I attack, my speed is going to be 3. So I'm going to get to attack him first, killing him before he has a chance to attack me back. So then I won't take any damage in return. And now my creature is even more powerful, potentially being able to go after his guy next turn if he doesn't have anybody else out. Now, the other big thing is you do have the catalyst tokens that we've kind of covered already. Now, these can be also used at certain points to get the time down on some of your skills. So if you have a creature that you really want out, so like maybe next turn I want to, really spend a couple of those to get a creature out or a couple creatures out quickly. That way I can do a big rush and try to hit him before he's able to get his defense back up. So that is the game. This is going to continue going back and forth until one of the players has eliminated the other player's health. And at that point, that player is the winner. And then you can set up and play another game, or go ahead and trade sides and see how your opponent does with your deck, or however you want to do it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter's main page and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do appreciate it, taking into account everything you say to make the best possible videos. Until next time, I'll see you later.